Hi everyone, my name is Lyndsey Katz and I'm one of the violin and viola teachers here at the Center for Musical Arts. And I've also been writing some blog posts for the center, so I'm sure you've all seen some of those. So today I'm going to be talking with one of our longtime students and participants in the jazz ensemble, Lynn Schwankl. Hi Lynn, how are you today?
Great. It's nice to see you.
You too, yeah, even if it's on Zoom. It's great. So why don't we just start off by having you just tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe how you discovered music.
Well, the I was introduced to drumming when I was about 6 or 7 years old, I guess. I had a chemistry set that I got for Christmas, and then there was this little play. It was like a super miniature, a pool cue, and little discs that you could knock around on this board. It had little baskets in it, so it was like a kid's pool table, only it sat on the floor. Well, anyway, I turned the back of my metal boxed chemistry set and two of the pool cues into drumsticks. The metal box became a drum, and that pretty much started it. I
Wow.
started taking lessons when I was 8, and then stayed with the program all the way through what we, I guess they call it middle school, but if there was an opportunity to play anything, I don't even remember. It's a long time ago for elementary school,
Yeah.
but junior high and senior high school, I whatever was available. I played in orchestra. I played the timpani
Wow.
in orchestra, and then was a snare drummer, and then in the marching band and the state, and then did have a very played very infrequently with the marching band, became a stage band, but then I was featured on a drum set during that, and but started playing professionally at the age of 15 when we did school dances. And
Wow.
so it's a scary number, but I've been playing professionally for 58 years.
Wow.
And anyway, got into playing clubs with some local friends. Grew up in International Falls, Minnesota, right on the Canadian border. Some
Right.
very fine musicians from Fort Francis, Ontario, which is literally across the river or across the bridge, as we used to say. I joined up with them, and in 1970, I was solicited to go join them in Canada to take a run at the big time, and that's pretty much what we did. We
Wow,
formed
sounds
a
fun.
group in Thunder Bay, Ontario. I moved there. I was married at the time to a Canadian,
Mm-hmm.
and from Fort Francis. And we moved to Thunder Bay, Ontario, put the band together, went on the road, and then over the next several years, I was up there 6.5 years,
Mm-hmm.
recorded on RCA. These are Canadian labels, Polydor, and a minor label called Astra Records. And so and a couple other things.
Wow, so a lot.
You haven't lived until you've gone into the studio with 20 elementary kids singing Anne Murray's song. Oh,
Oh my gosh.
I can't, it escapes me right now.
That's okay.
But anyway,
I'll look it up later.
yeah, but anyway, and that was put on a little label on a
Wow.
45. Uh, but anyway, so I did that, and then I burned out on it.
Oh, okay.
We sort of started going in circles, and not much was
Mm-hmm.
happening, and there were some band member changes, and I decided to come home, and came back and moved to Colorado in 1976.
Okay.
Played full time for 20 years or so. And then while I was playing, um, do, visit a chiropractor because of a car crash, and a big light came on, and I said, maybe I should get a real job. And I always felt a little guilty because I knew I had the brain power to get a degree. And so I transferred all 19 credits I could
Wow.
from my early, back in the 60s, and went all the way to a doctor of chiropractic, which I did for about 20, 25 years.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh.
Kind of put the playing to the side. But then
Right.
after I retired from that, then it came back into my life, and the Center for Musical Arts uh, showed up in there, I guess, about 10 years ago. And
Okay, wow.
that's and the director of the jazz program there, Steve Christopher,
Hmm.
I ran into him. He was directing for Colorado. I'm going to forget that too. Um, you know what? It just is. But
That's
anyway, it
okay.
was another jazz program, and
Cool.
I was playing in a combo and an ensemble
Okay.
with them,
Okay.
Steve, and then lost touch with that group. Uh, but Colorado Jazz Festival, maybe, or something.
Cool. Yeah.
That may be what it was. But anyway, and then out of the blue, I think the way it happened, because it's a long time ago, I got a call from Steve, and we hooked up over at Center for Musical Arts, and I had retired from the chiropractic scene
Okay.
by then, and but couldn't stand not working, and because of
Mm.
my schedule, we I was having to get up at 4:30 in the morning and practicing, playing and practicing. Just I was just running out of
Yeah.
hours in the day, and so we
Kind of the
separated for a
opposite
while. Right,
musicians.
and then, but I've been back, I guess twice, over 10 years or so, and now we start up again tomorrow night
Oh,
with the
wow.
ensemble.
Tomorrow night.
Yeah.
What timing? That's great.
Yes. So I and yeah, but anyway, it's been, yes, circuitous,
Yeah.
but a lot of fun. And through all of those years, I've played a little bit of everything.
Sounds like
Except
it.
I know it's hard to believe at 73 that I'm not a hip hop player, and it's maybe the only music I haven't played, but
Wow.
but
Well, that's
everything else. Primarily, we were an uptown group,
mm,
tuxedos.
mm.
Used to have lots of frilly shirts. Still own 4 tuxedos, and
Wow.
and played show and dance clubs and chased our records and that kind of thing.
Wow.
So
Sounds
that's
like the life.
sort of
I mean,
it.
it's kind of like the musician's dream, what you've just described your entire life.
Well, oh yeah, no, we had a lot of fun
Yeah,
because,
I bet.
I mean, for it, the younger students um, won't know. In my memory doesn't serve me well sometimes too. There is some medical reason for that. They tell you, if you're going to have chemotherapy, you will get chemo brain and or
Mm,
brain fog, and what it does
heard of
is
that.
it beats up on your memory. Some Donald Sutherland is the name I was going to come up with.
Good job
We
remembering that.
spent, for instance, some of the exciting things besides having fun playing and making music. We spent our band up in, we were in Saskatchewan, and Donald Sutherland came in the club, and he was doing a documentary for some Canadian history, and he was a mounted police, Canadian mounted uh, police or
Hmm.
military person, and this was to document an Indian, Native Canadian insurrection or whatever they called it. And so he said, "Hey, why don't you come out on the set?" And we spent a whole day with Donald Sutherland,
Wow.
and I mean, this, flown by Sun Oil up into the tar sands
Hmm.
um, of Alberta for their Christmas parties. I mean, all kinds of wonderful, strange things
Yeah.
that a lot of people would never get to do. And the music business has, we followed Harry Belafonte into RCA Studios to do
Oh
one
my
of our records.
gosh. Wow.
So it's been very cool.
Yeah, you've seemed like you've just been around everywhere and have it sounds like you just have a lot of great memories and
Oh yes,
experiences that, are unparalleled. So,
plus the tens of thousands of people you meet over
right.
that number of years. Yes,
Yeah, I mean, that's why I love being a musician too. You just get to travel to so many different places and meet all different kinds of people, and it just brings people together in a way that I don't think anything else can.
right.
So,
And probably the greatest enjoyment though is playing with other musicians and
mhm.
creating.
Yeah.
When you first start out, it's very very frustrating. I know when you know almost nothing, and in fact, I I did watch an interview with you, and I just before we started here
Right.
today, and you talked about some of the very same things that I think too, is that when you first start out, you just think that it's the most difficult thing you'll ever do, but all of a sudden a little light comes on, and then all
Yep.
of a sudden that phrase you've been working on, it comes to you,
Yeah.
and then you get better and better, and the next thing you know is you're sitting with other musicians and creating and a beautiful beautiful music, and then you say, ah, it was worth it,
It's worth it.
and that's and in the jazz program where there is so much creative going on as opposed to playing a song exactly the same way so that
Yeah.
the crowd knows exactly what it's supposed to say. Jazz gives you the opportunity to improvise, and there is
Right.
nothing greater than sitting with, is like in a jazz combo, six or seven other, maybe
Mm,
four, five, six, seven other players, and listening to them have one of their magic moments, and you just go, yeah, that was beautiful,
that
and
is
you have
cool.
your own, of course. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that must be, such a different approach to music, I imagine, improvisation in general. I
Oh
do a little
yes.
bit of that as well, but in the early music side of things. So it's kind of the jazz musicians and early music musicians kind of have a lot in common, but um,
Great. Well,
yeah,
yes, and then when you make a mistake, all you have to, in jazz, all you have to say, I meant to do that,
yeah,
you know.
exactly. Yeah, the same here. Is like, oh well, I'm just gonna do that again. Oh my gosh. Well, wow. So the next question I have for you is you've kind of already answered it, but what what inspires you to continue participating in the center's community? Because you're so involved. You have been so involved in different communities in your life, and it's pretty amazing that are you've stuck around with the center. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, the bottom line is there is nothing on in your lifetime once you're hooked, and you are a musician, and I've you hear about people. I mean, one of the songs on RCA, I was missing my girlfriend up in Yorkton, Saskatchewan, and if where they literally were rolling up the sidewalks while we were still playing.
Oh my
But
gosh.
I wrote a song that ended up on RCA, and then in 45 minutes, and so that those creative juices
Mm-hmm.
don't really get to come out anything like they do in the arts, and
Mm-hmm.
whether it's painting or sculpture or music,
Right.
and so the thing that's kept me going is that fire that um, burns inside you, that when there's an opportunity to play, it lights the fire is ignited again, and there's nothing like it, and
Yeah.
then of course in jazz, uh, being able to, you take solos all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and you get to experiment with all the things that you've learned. In my case, it's just like I said, I've been playing since I was 8. So that's 65 years, soon to be 66 years. and all that experience, you get an opportunity to use it. And every once in a while, it's just pure genius. And you just feel so, you just light up like a Christmas tree.
Right.
And then the other piece of that is you hear phrases and things from the other musicians you're playing with that you feel the same, and you just you go, wow, that was beautiful. and
Yeah.
and to see other people create like that is a gift too.
Right. Yeah. So is that particularly, do you feel particularly drawn to the Center for Musical Arts, like the jazz ensemble, because of um, how supported you feel in that the fire ignition, or what particularly about CMA or the center?
Well, the other, when I first started, I was playing uh, a in a combo
Mm.
and the ensemble,
Okay.
and so there's, I mean, you're reading charts in a big band, and so
Mm.
your improvisation only happens when, oh, by the way, Lynn, you've got 8 bars from here to here, or and Steve Christopher, the director, he'll just say, we need 8 bars here. Okay, well, okay, great. And then you take a solo for eight
Let's do
bars and
it.
you come
Yeah.
back in. The same way that any of the other horns or other instruments might do that. And but the and I know I'm not rambling because I've forgotten what the question was.
That seems like, you can just talk really, but it was mostly just, I just wanted to know, like what particularly about the center is,
Oh,
ignites that fire and keeps you
oh,
going.
okay, yeah. Well, what it is it's a group of like-minded people, and some of whom are exceptional, and the rest of us are, not too bad, and
Oh my
and
gosh.
the and the opportunity. But where I was going as a drummer, there isn't anything on the face of the planet that is more fun than kicking a big band.
Oh
Period.
my gosh,
There
I
just
bet.
isn't. You can make or break a big band
Mm,
by not having energy as a
right.
drummer, and so for me, it's just great. And then I even I'm also a vocalist and I also
Okay.
play guitar.
Wow.
Um, I've got at the ripe old age of 73, I still have 3 octaves with falsetto, and
Wow. Can you
and
give us a demo?
uh, well, I can I I can tell you that I can hit 3 octaves on the
Wow.
G below middle C.
Oh
Okay,
my gosh, wow.
and I do have some mouse sounds in there too, because it's a long story, but we had a guitar player. We were partying one night. He could, if you remember the song "The Lion Sleeps Tonight."
Uh-huh.
If you okay, well, that I don't know if it's a contra soprano or
Oh
whatever
yeah.
that does that very okay. He could hit that in his sleep.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I was always chasing him in falsetto, which kept my voice pretty tall, even though I was a baritone.
Wow.
Um, but he screeched a G, a triple high G above middle C in falsetto, and I don't even think mice can do that. So,
That's really
so
high.
anyway, I was always excited about falsetto and using it. I will tell you that it goes away as you get older, and you have to be very careful which notes you decide to sing,
Oh
and I
my
know where
gosh.
they are, and so there's a mid-range falsetto I've lost, and but I've picked it up in full voice, which makes no sense whatsoever. But
Oh
anyway,
my gosh.
but
It's really
so
funny.
I did get an opportunity to sing a blues tune with the ensemble one time too, so that was a kick. And my claim to fame is a lead vocalist and a harmonizer from the drum set. Um,
Wow.
Except Phil Collins wouldn't let me sit in, you know.
Sounds like you've had just a lot of really great memories.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So many.
Wouldn't trade
Wow.
it.
Um, is there any particular one from the center, like a from a concert or from a rehearsal, where maybe a magic moment that you can tell us about? You've kind of
Well,
already touched on a few, but
there were many,
yeah.
um, but one just recently, uh, breaking out of COVID, we played, and it's terrible. I think it's Dickens is the name of the club, and there we went in with the what I guess is called the no both the intermediate and advanced jazz combos played that night, and I was playing drums on both of those, and it was just like everybody just showed up 100. I hate the saying 110%, but there's no such thing except if you're flying a jet. You can go to 110% power, and I'm wondering,
Whoa.
how do you do that? um, but
Never heard
anyway,
that.
everybody was firing on all 8 cylinders. It was just absolutely magic, and
Wow.
really, uh, coming out of COVID and not really
Mm.
playing that much, to have a night like that, and of course, brought the house down. I think we were able to get maybe as many as maybe 75 people in this
Wow.
COVID time to come in, and it really was magical and brings back again. And all of these people, of course, this is a Center for Musical Arts performance,
Hmm.
and we do several of these a year, various groups, and as fundraisers, and it's really for the center,
Hmm.
and it's just a wonderful, wonderful time to support the center with that, with our musical ability,
Yeah.
and so that one, it was just magical, and I think part of it was everybody showed up. Sorry, I forgot to mute my phone.
That's okay.
Uh, Everybody showed up that night, and it was just special. And
Yeah.
so, and and it's what keeps me playing, is that kind of magic. It will happen. Doesn't happen every night and every song,
Yeah.
but when you get 2 hours of everybody just over, above and beyond, is just magical.
Yeah, I agree. I've had a few of those experiences myself, and I can't even describe it, the flow that you feel. It's just
Yes,
amazing, especially, after um, not being able to play with people for so long. That's like a special kind of magic that you were
it
just
is.
talking about. So
Yeah.
that's great that you had that experience. So, maybe as our last question, just to sort of round things off, if you were to give a piece of advice to younger musicians, we kind of touched on this at the beginning, but what would you say? What would you say to maybe help them get through those times that practicing feels like the last thing they want to do?
Right. And uh, very rarely something good and special is easy. It's
Mm.
almost never easy, and the fruits of your labor will show up after a while, and so um, just never give up. Just know that there's going to be a special moment just around the corner. I heard when I mentioned earlier in our Zoom here, was you were speaking about the interaction between the student and the teacher. I
Mm.
think it's critical that there is that, and not go in there with a wooden ruler and whacking the student on the, say, do this, do this, do this,
Yeah.
but the having a an open relationship. Make sure that I'm speaking for this as the student now. Make sure you give feedback, but not whining about the fact you have to practice, but
Yeah.
this really works for me. And that's one of the things that all instructors have to go through, is to find out what works best for any individual. Some are very timid and you can't pound on,
Hmm.
you can't beat them with a stick, and others are some you got to prod a little bit, and you go, but it's an interaction between student and teacher,
Yeah.
and it takes time. And the practice, though, if you don't practice, you won't get it. So stick with it, but never give up. Keep at
Yes.
it. If you love your instrument, if you love what you're doing, just know that in time it will become one of the greatest things that has ever happened in your life.
Oh, that is a great way to end things. Wow. Yes, I couldn't agree more. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Lynn. And thanks for your patience with Zoom as usual. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks so
Yes.
much.
Well, thank you so much. It's been a
Yeah,
pleasure, and I feel honored that you would like to hear my story, and
of
look
course.
forward, hopefully, in the not too distant future, to maybe see you around the center.
Yeah.
It's a long swim, though, so be
Yes.
careful. Yeah, watch
Yes.
for icebergs. And
Yep.
anyway, but it'll be wonderful to see you in person. We can sit down over a cup of tea,
Yeah.
and you can tell me about some of the fascinating things. And if you keep going back to the Netherlands, we maybe we can time our trip so that you can show us around. Okay.
That would be really great. Yeah, for people who don't know, I'm studying in the Netherlands for a year for a music program. So that's what Lynn is talking about.
Okay.
um,
Right. So bless you. Be
yeah,
safe and
thank you.
stay healthy, and never give up.
I will not. It's great advice for anyone playing an instrument or singing. Thanks so much, Lynn.
Okay.
Bye.
Thanks. Thanks so much.
Yep. Bye.